Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. And your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who is named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report. Welcome, Bear Fan Dan, where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news for all the good and the bad the team does. Halas Hall Report will be live for the 6th season. And they are teaming up with the best sports podcast out on social media.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Go Bears!
Good morning. It's Sunday. There's still no football. However, we're only 11 days until draft day. 11 days. So, trivia question for the panel. Who is pictured there with Chef Poles wearing the number 11 jersey? What do you got to guess?
Number 11.
Yep.
It's not a current player.
Who's wearing number 11?
Not a current.
It's got to be Keenan. It's Scott. Scott's gonna be wearing 11.
You said not a current player?
Yeah. Now think about this. It's 11 days till draft day. Someone wearing 11, maybe someone who was drafted high by the Bears on draft day. He was a bust.
Kevin White.
Yes, sir. Yes, I knew that would get Woody. He was a bust. Yep. That would do it.
And he went to my daughter's high school.
There you go. And also today, happy birthday to DJ Moore. Birthday shout out. As well, let's give a happy birthday to Bear Down Mike's daughter, who now joined the ranks of the driving class. So please, if you live in Bear Down Mike's area, stay off the sidewalks.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. She's driving. My son started driving a few weeks ago. It's almost safe to go on the sidewalks. But
I still feel like I should get tires around the car.
So, guys, we're 11 days from the draft. And commenters, guys watching, please give us comments. We're going to have a big question for the day, and that's this. What are we doing 11 days out? What do you think we're doing with the number 9 pick? Are we trading? Are we drafting? What are we doing? Bear Down Mike, what do you think we're doing at number 9?
I would say if Joel Alt is available at 9, which I doubt he is, I think Tennessee will grab him. We trade down 2 or 3 spots.
And do what?
Draft an edge.
Okay. Woody? Oh, let me say this too real quick before you answer, Woody. The premonition here is that with the number 1 pick, we're taking a quarterback. Whether it's Caleb or the guy Woody wants, right?
Yep.
Jaden. We don't know. But the premise is that 1, we're taking a quarterback. So what do we do at 9?
We're trading down to like 13, 14. If Dallas Turner or Javon Curse is there, we're taking one of those players at defensive edge.
All right, so I'm going to throw this up as I give my take. Here's the top 14 picks, right? So, of course, we're predicating this. Of course, we don't know if anyone's going to move up before we get to 9. There's talk that Minnesota may try to move up. They went out and picked up a second first rounder this year. I think I kind of agree with both of you. I think at 9, there's a scenario in which we keep it. If Joe Alt is there, I think you have to draft him. If Brock Bowers is there, I kind of think you might have to draft him.
Oof.
If Roma Nunez is there, I think that becomes a question of what you could get if you trade it versus keeping and keeping Roma Nunez, because if you draft the Nunez, now you've got him as your wide receiver 3 this year with Keenan Allen on a 1-year deal. Next year he would ascend to your wide receiver 2 and also give you protection the year after that if DJ Moore becomes too expensive to stay. However, I have done a bunch of mocks, just tooling around, playing with scenarios. I've seen where we could maybe possibly go back to 12 with the Broncos, 13 with the Raiders, or 14 with the Saints, make a trade back to one of those guys, and then pick up what's the guy from UCLA, the edge rusher.
Is that Jared Verse?
No.
It's Florida State.
It's he's got I can't remember his last name now. He's got
if you get a chance, just pop that Joe's draft picks up again. It depends. It's what's the Chargers going to do? They'll probably go after a receiver. They lost all their receivers. Giants, what do they don't know if they're getting a quarterback or maybe another receiver.
They're going to go for a weapon.
The Titans.
They
So
need O-line help.
yeah, I mean
That's the one I'd be worried about.
Yeah, the Falcons. Who knows? They might need another
They need
receiver.
edge.
So we
They
don't
need edge.
know if Adunez, Neighbors, or anybody will be there by the time we pick to 9. And Titans, they need an offensive lineman, so Alt might be taken by them.
right.
So if Bears trade back with the Broncos or Raiders, and one of those edge rushers are there, Dallas Turner or Verse, I mean, I think we're gonna snag an edge rusher at that pick.
Yeah, there's some question marks here. I think everyone in the league is kind of set. The Bears are taking a quarterback. Washington is taking a quarterback. I think those are the two teams where most people feel that there's not going to be a trade back, and that most pundits, mock drafters, and whatnot are confident that both of those are taking a quarterback. However, when you get to the Patriots, there are some mock drafts where they're taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I've seen multiple quarterbacks and wide receivers.
I can see Drake May. I really think Patriots are going after a quarterback as well, and I think Arizona is going to snag up Harrison Jr.
Well, isn't it possible that Vikings could move up to 3?
Yep. See,
because Patriots need a lot of help.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to trading down, but I'm kind of with what Mike was saying. I think the Vikings are going to pull the trigger to move into the top 5 to get a quarterback, and I think we're going to keep our number 9 pick, and we're going to pick the best available. It'd be the receiver because, like you said, Allen's on a 1-year rental right now. We could possibly extend him in mid-season or – you know what I mean? He's getting older, so we got to have a backup. And Tyler Scott right now is in the starter for the number 3 spot, so we got to have somebody better than that.
Well,
what's the possibility of Tyler Scott and getting another opportunity at the 3? He was a rookie.
There is a good possibility of that. There's definitely a good possibility. I want to throw another wrinkle in here for you guys to consider. There's yet another wrinkle. I know I've got it here because I saw it. I used it last night after the show. And that is, here we go. This is our draft capital for next year. Okay. We have 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 3 sixths. Okay. And then 1 6 could possibly become
4.
There's a field trick to become a 4, right? Huh. I do not think it impossible that the Bears could package some of these picks together. Use our picks at 1 and 9. Let's say it's Caleb Williams and Roma Nunez. That's about the most common possibility I've seen in a lot of the mocks, right? That Roma's there. Like I said, Alt is sometimes there. Browers is sometimes there. Nunez is there more times than not, okay? Let's say we use 1 and 9. What's to say we don't try to trade back in to 13, 14, or 15 using capital from next year, because look, we're not trying to build. We've built. We're trying to win right now, this year, next year. This year's playoffs. We want to get to the playoffs, right? That's the next step. So what if we take one of the second rounders, one of the third rounders, one or two sixth rounders, and maybe the fifth rounder or something like that, and try to package it to trade with the Broncos, the Raiders, or the Saints, most likely being the Broncos or the Saints, to be honest with you, because they're two teams the furthest away that could use a lot of capital, right, to get back in the first. I would even say package our first with maybe a couple of the fourth rounders or something from next year. And now you go and you get a quarterback, a receiver, and you trade back in and get your edge rusher.
You know, I and I was talking to, I won't mention who, but they were talking about our 9th pick, like trading up to get a wide receiver at like with somebody with, 5 or 6 and stuff like that. The Bears would have the, trade up to get like a Harrison Jr. or a Neighbors as well. I'm hearing that, but I think that's far fetched. But that's what I was hearing.
We
Well,
just had
this is
to comment
the thing. This draft is loaded with wide receivers. We don't have to take a wide receiver at 9. This is wide receivers and tackles. Big
right.
draft.
Yeah, but after the top 3, there's a little bit of a drop off. And Matthew says no one's giving up a first for future picks. Really? That's how Minnesota just got their second first rounder was on future picks.
Yep.
Minnesota's going to move up into the top 5.
No, but Minnesota picked up a second first rounder just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
trading away
With the Texans.
With the Texans for next year, not this year. Those are future picks they gave up. But like I said, though, I wouldn't even be if you could theoretically, or maybe you move into this year's or into the second round maybe to get your edge guy. We gave up this year's our second round pick this year turned into Montez Sweat.
Yes. And that was well worth it.
It was worth it because it's better. He's better than any draft pick you're going to have in that second round.
Most definitely.
So, well, for this year, outside of 9, we don't have. We have a third and a fourth round, and that's it. We have 4 picks. So, but with all the capital we have next year, I mean, okay, I'll move back into the first round. I'll give you my third this year, a second next year, and 2 fourths, and whatever. Because I got picks to give away. So I mean, the point being, I don't know what the actual compensation would be, but I could see polls possibly trading back into the first round or early second round to get a good edge rusher or wide receiver. Because like Mike said, it's deep. But I think after the Odunez, Neighbors, and Harrison, there's a bit of a drop.
Yeah, because if we can drop back to the second, late second, we could probably get Brandon Rice.
You get him in the third. And most of the mocks I've done, and look, I'm an advocate of that, Mike. I like that you brought that up because I'm an advocate of getting Brandon Rice because first off, professional pedigree is not a bad thing that draft because Jerry Rice's son. Secondly, he plays college ball with who? Well, the guy will probably draft a quarterback. And we've seen how in the NFL that works out well for the quarterback because he's already got a guy he's familiar with, knows he can trust. It helps both players. Rice would have to be nothing more than our third receiver. That would help. And if he blossoms, maybe next year he ascends to the number 2. But I'm a fan of that. But we'd have to take him in the third round. And by most mock draft standards, that would be a reach. But by the time we pick in the fourth, the most mock drafts, he's gone. So we'd have to take him in the third round. And that might be considered a reach by some. But I think the X factor piece of it might make it worth it. What do you think, Woody?
So, Ken, are you comparing Williams and Rice to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase?
Not necessarily, but in general, in a way, yes. Because like you look at how they came out of college with the chemistry, then you look at Etienne and Lawrence in Jacksonville, and the chemistry that they've had from jump and how it's benefited both of them. In fact, Etienne was a running back that no one even really knew about coming out of the draft. And now look, he's the guy. right? Like it helped his career. Andrew Luck did it with his tight end when he went to the Colts. They had some good success. We've seen this before where college teammates who get drafted together, they seem to acclimate in the NFL a little bit faster together than it separate.
Well, another
Okay,
thing
so
it does.
we'll draft Jade. We'll draft Jaden, and then we'll draft neighbors. There you go.
If they want to do that,
Hey,
Listen, that
well,
would
well
that,
think about
that would be
we're probably gonna say Caleb's the guy. If we draft Brandon Rice, Caleb doesn't have to go through all that animosity with the city by himself. He'll have a familiar face in the building to rely on to help him out. You know, that way his rookie struggles, he'll have another rookie with him that's a familiar player to him to go through that struggle.
yeah. I mean, so that's a possibility,
And you also have that chemistry.
right? And that's why I bring that up. And that's, but you could still see the Bears. I think, regardless. Let's say that we trade back on the 9, or we take. I mean, look at Dallas Turner. I don't know if you guys remember at the combine. Dallas Turner was gushing over the Bears defense, wasn't he? Like, I don't know if you heard his interview when he did his media time, and they asked about his media Bears. Oh, that defense lets you do all this great stuff, and he was gushing over the Bears. So I think he's a great fit in Chicago.
I think he'd be gone by 8.
I think overall the Bears are going to have the youngest defensive line in the league. Going to be up there.
Between us and Green Bay, probably. Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, Kansas City had the youngest defense in the league last year, and then Green Bay. So definitely, we'd probably be in the top 3 as far as age, especially now that we got rid of Bojack. But there's so much. I mean, look, let's say Minnesota moves up. Let's look at it this way: if Minnesota moves up, who do you guys think Minnesota has the best chance of moving up with? The Pats, the Cards, the Chargers, the Giants, the Titans, or the Titans? And the Falcons doesn't help them, I don't think, for what they want.
I'd say the Cards or the Chargers.
Yeah, I gotta say Pats.
Chargers. You gotta think Chargers need a whole new team. They're rebuilding.
Well, they also need a number 1 receiver. Who's going to be their number 1? Quentin Johnson? Give me a break. That guy drops everything, just like Bayless does.
Dude, they need a running back, a tight end, a receiver. They probably need a line. Yeah, they need a lot of stuff.
Cardinals ain't going to move because they need a number 1 receiver. They got rid of theirs. Chargers need wide receiver. I don't see them taking a tight end. I think they need a number 1 receiver. Giants need a receiver. Patriots, they need a whole lot of things.
Giants need a tight end too, because I mean, Waller's.
I got Darren Waller.
Yeah, they got Bellinger. He's all right.
Titans need online help. Falcons, they're set over receiver. They need an edge.
I could see maybe the Vikings trading up with maybe the Chargers because they, like I said, they need a whole new team. I don't know how many picks Chargers have in this draft. But
I would assume
in my mock draft, I still have Vikings taking JJ McCarthy as their quarterback.
I like. Let's say they move up with the Chargers. They've got they went and got a second first-round pick. I think that package would be both first-round picks for this year and the first-round pick for next year for the Chargers to move back all the way to move them back to 11. I think the Chargers would do that going back to 11, and they pick up the 27th. I think, right? That's what the other pick the Vikings have. And they pick up the Vikings the first round or 23rd, and they pick up the first round pick for next year. I think that would give them an opportunity this year to pick up 2 impact players. And who knows, that compensation might even have more than that. For the Pats.
Just looking at it, could the Vikings move down 2 spots with us? Just giving up the 11th, maybe a second, just to draft JJ? Because JJ is going to be on the board at that time.
The problem is I don't know if it's going to be JJ
or Penix, but Penix is dropping in this draft.
Yeah.
Penix, if you talk to Vikings fans, Penix isn't their guy either. They're talking this week. The Lions have discussions with Jaden. They're having meetings with Jaden and Matthew. It's going to take 3 firsts for the number 5. And no, it's not going to take 3 firsts. Oh yeah, it's going to take 3 firsts for the 5. I don't know why people sell what it takes to get these picks. Look at the Bears last year at number 1 got basically a first round pick, a stud number 1, and a 2. Now, if you want, they got a pretty hefty deal. Basically, they got 3 first round picks, right? Plus a 4th rounder or something like that, right? A 5th rounder. But basically, with the player you got, he was equivalent to a first round pick. So you could, and look at that second first round pick the Vikings have is far enough back in the first where it's almost considered a second. I mean, honestly, if I'm sitting at number 5 and I'm the Chargers and the Vikings come, I'm like, yeah. I mean, look at, the 49ers gave a 3 firsts for the number 3. Hey, good morning, Yoli. Oh, Yoli's on every day on every show. Thank you, Yoli, for being
Yoli?
on every day. You're awesome.
Jordan Love's going to have a soft year slump.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's precedent, but if I'm the Chargers and I know that they really, really, really want their quarterback that bad, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to cost 3, but maybe it could cost 3, or maybe it costs them. Maybe it costs them their 2 ones this year and a second round next year, or something like that. Because actually, when you think about it, it's a flip, so that's not really doesn't count. And then maybe they'll take this year's number 1 as next year's number 1, right? So there's your number 1, and then they take a second rounder this year or something else from the Vikings. The Vikings are going to have to pay to move up.
Let's see. The Vikings will trade up with us, number 1. They'll pick Caleb. We'll go down to their 11th, and we'll pick Jaden, and everybody will be happy.
Dude, Jaden will be gone. Most mock drafts, Jaden going at number 2.
Or then Bo Nix. Sorry. But you know what? This is all of our opinions. We're going to be wrong somewhere in this top 10.
All hypotheticals. That's why I brought up the Bears trading back into the first round or into the second round using draft capital for next year.
Hey, was that EQ thing going to the Saints true? Was that true?
Yeah. Yeah, he's an angel.
So now we have no blocking wide receivers.
No. But, I mean, and look at, speaking of guys who haven't signed, Yannick Ngakoue is still out there. I still see a possibility where if we don't get the edge we want, Ngakoue is a cheap re-sign who played a lot better, like everyone else did, when Montez Sweat showed up. So if he's healthy, he's worth $4 million a year right now.
Well, that's why we got rid of Justin Jones, because he did all good with Montez Sweat there, and now he's gone.
Yeah. His price went up, but
fucking sucks, man. Let's just get Bly Nichols back and make me happy for once. Fuckers.
I mean, but with Yannick, if he's healthy, and you don't draft an edge, let's say we don't draft an edge. Let's say at 9 we do Roma Dunez, and then we get Jerry Rice's kid in the 3rd. Let's say we go quarterback, receiver, and then we go defensive interior in the 4th round. Let's say we do that. Maybe you re-sign Yannick on a 1-year deal, or a 2-year deal, or a 3-year deal with the last 2 years being options.
So are you going to have Yannick and a rookies rotate?
No. You're not. If we don't draft an edge, you just re-sign Yannick.
There's going to be edge draft.
Yeah, we're going to be drafting one.
There's going to be
and we need to draft a punter too.
Well, you can sign them.
Gil was the worst. Gil had the worst net kicking last year in the league.
You know what? Is Pat O'Donnell still available? Because I know Green Bay released him.
He might be.
Yeah, I know.
He was actually not bad.
Oh yeah, he did good for us.
But I mean, if you don't get the first round pass rusher you want, Yannick could still be the guy. And let's say you get a pass rusher in a 3rd or 4th, then you could rotate Yannick in a 3rd or 4th.
Here's the thing: we know Poles can draft defense. We've seen it with Stevenson, Gordon, Brisker.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys are monsters in their own way.
And they were.
So I'm not worried about where we draft an edge, because I think they're gonna find a diamond in the rough if we draft in the later rounds. I think we need offensive help, offensive line help. That's why I said if at 9, if Joe Alton's still there and Tennessee doesn't take him, Draft
That's what
that
I'm
guy.
saying. Yeah, I think
Because
I agree
Braxton
with
would
you.
be a high value backup for tackles. Because then you could, if Darnell Wright, God forbid, goes down with something,
Right.
you can
No,
move over
no,
there. He'll be
I
great
agree.
additional piece.
And Woody, I think you would agree too. If Alt's there, you take him, right?
I beg to differ, but
Well, why? All right. Well,
I think we need. I honestly, I think we need an edge before an O lineman. It's just me.
Well, we were already a top defense. And another
But we
piece
need-
to help.
we-
It helped.
yeah,
need
but
to-
our offensive
line
line,
needs help.
but Mike, our offensive line troubles were not at tackle or guard. It was at
We
the
need to
center
hit the
position.
quarterback more. I know.
Yeah.
We stopped the run and stuff like that, but I know Montez Sweat can't do it all himself. We need to do it.
And look, when you looked at the PFF grades on the O line, the D line or the O line, I'm sorry, it was green, dark green, light green, deep freaking red, so deep it burnt a hole in your eye.
Center.
Amber green. Amber being Nate Stevens because he was out a bit, but you assume he'll be green. So our weak point in the offensive line.
You said
The
Nate
weak.
Stevens?
I did say Nate, but Nate, what's his name? Yeah, Nate Davis. Thank you. Yeah, player Davis. But the weak point of the O line was the center. All those guys that were in the center position last year have been jettisoned and been replaced with guys whose PFF grades are all green. So that was the weak point. You've addressed it. That's why I agree with Woody. Is that an edge rusher? Let's say you have your edge rusher at 9, and you have that guard or an O line at 9. I'm with Woody. You take the edge, right? And if you can trade back though and pick up a second rounder and still get, let's say, the kid from UCLA, and maybe you pass on Turner, right?
If Turner versus there at 9, and people want to trade up with us, they know they would get an offensive player or whatever. I would definitely trade back and get one of those defensive edges. Either definitely Dallas Turner at like 13 or 14.
Well, yeah, because Broncos and Raiders, I think they're gonna try and move up. They need a quarterback.
Yep.
So they're back to 3 or 4 spots.
That's at 9 though. But that means at 9 though, you're looking at possibility. I've seen a few mocks and it's crazy, but Marvin Harrison could be there at 9. Depending on some of these move ups.
Yeah.
I'm just saying though, you're gonna get Harrison, Neighbors, Adunez, or 2 out of the 3 theoretically available at 9. And that gets kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, I think Arizona's going to snag up Harrison if he's there.
Yep.
Yeah. And I agree with Butters too. I can see this trading back, but I can also see scenarios where we don't trade back and we trade back into the first round using some capital from next year or some other stuff. Maybe there's a player involved. Who knows?
If you're going to do that, go for it.
And Cam knows this one. Look, he lives in Arizona. They're all over Marvin Harrison. He lives in the Phoenix area. He can trust me. He can tell you what's going on there. So Harrison's off the board at 4 unless they get the deal of the century to back out. I mean, so we're looking at 5, 6, 7 is probably where Minnesota is going to be able to trade in, or 3 with the Patriots. And I kind of agree with Mike to a degree on that as well. But with my last disappointing take of the morning, we have to bid you all a farewell. We'll see you tomorrow on Ken and Ken in the morning. See you next Saturday here for Halas Hall. And don't forget, for the draft, we will be having a live draft show on Thursday night, 2 hours, with Frozen Tundra Network on Roku. Until then, guys, peace.
Sure.